Offshore wind farms are crucial in helping northwestern European countries achieve climate targets. We've already made good progress, as the quantity of renewable energy generated has increased greatly since 2015. There are also plans to further increase the number of wind farms. In the Esbjerg Declaration, it has been agreed to create 65 gigawatts in offshore wind capacity and 20 gigawatts in electrolysis by 2030. In 2050, this will rise to 150 gigawatts of offshore wind power. A significant portion will be used to increase the electrolysis capacity. In addition, in the broader Northwestern European Oostende Declaration, the ambition even increased further to 120 gigawatts of offshore wind in 2030 and 300 gigawatts of offshore wind in 2050. That is good news. Nonetheless, simply expanding offshore wind capacity won't be enough to meet our energy needs. After all, just like with solar energy, wind energy can't be generated constantly or adjustably. Fluctuations in the amount of wind are reflected in the generation of renewable electricity. This results in a surplus of green power in the European electricity network at certain times. Electricity that we're unable to use, whereas at other times there's a shortage. This means that we still need to produce electricity generated with fossil fuels to meet our energy demands. That's not only a waste, it also generates unnecessary carbon emissions. It will therefore be even more important to match supply and demand effectively in the near future. Part of the solution for an optimum energy system involves reinforcing the national and international electricity networks and the connections between them. But this isn't enough. The current energy system is mainly based on molecules, which are consumed directly as fuel or as feedstock. We can also use these molecules to produce electricity. In the future energy system on the North Sea, electrons will form a key foundation for the sustainable energy supply. We can then use these electrons directly or convert them into hydrogen, so that the various energy requirements are ultimately met with the use of a climate-neutral energy system. This means that we should turn around the offshore energy system, so to speak, and use solar and wind energy right away wherever possible. To be able to achieve this, a new offshore energy system is needed. In other words, offshore system integration is necessary. The key features of offshore system integration are connecting various energy hubs and being able to switch. Connection of the offshore electricity grid with the future offshore hydrogen network is crucial, and also being able to switch between production of electricity and production of hydrogen is essential. To put it differently, if there's not much wind, transport as much energy as possible onshore in the form of electricity. If there's a lot of wind, energy is sent onshore in the form of both electrons and molecules. This can be done by placing electrolyzers at sea, so that renewable energy can be stored as hydrogen and used later. In the energy system of the future, offshore electrolyzers will meet market demand by producing greater or smaller amounts of hydrogen. More sustainable electrons plus more sustainable molecules. We will also need to build more flexible zero-carbon or hydrogen power stations and storage facilities, so that we are able to meet energy requirements at times when not enough sustainable power can be generated. On top of that, certain industries need hydrogen as feedstock. Offshore system integration will ensure maximum utilization of offshore wind energy and a stable energy supply. But that's not the only advantage. Offshore electrolyzers save a lot of space on the mainland. And since pipelines can transport a lot of energy, less infrastructure is needed. This saves space at sea and at the landfall points. Another advantage is that the offshore energy system will connect to the national onshore hydrogen network in 2030, through which important customers can be reached. We're still at the beginning of the energy transition, so this is the moment to think about the step up of the future offshore energy system. Optimum integrated infrastructure planning, careful consideration of the costs, and a reliable and affordable energy system are key elements that we need to make a decision about today. In this way, we will ensure that the energy system of the future is ready in time. If you'd like to find out more about offshore system integration and how this can help us achieve the climate targets faster, take a look on our website.